So, we'll hand over to Julia. Those of you that don't know me, I am Julie Naylor and I'm from Forteviot. I am 42 years old, and I've been a hairdresser for the last 25 years. Here I am, in my natural habitat. I was brought up 2 miles outside Forteviot, and that was the view from my bedroom window. The countryside was always my playground, and as a kid I used to come home with frogs spawning and jars of ladybirds and stuff. My curiosity hasn't faded as an adult, and I've continued to learn new things every day. So, where my photography began. During the first lockdown, can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
During the first lockdown, obviously being a hairdresser, I was out of work for about 3 months. My partner Mark and I would go out for daily walks for our mental health. We all did that, didn't we? When the 5-mile rule was set up, we went to a patch of woods that I used to play in as a child, and we started seeing the odd red squirrel. So when Mark went back to work, I bought myself a camera and I went up there every day with a bag of hazelnuts trying to get some shots like this. I would start by placing some hazelnuts around, sit, wait patiently and listen, and eventually the squirrels would come down, grab a nut and run off. I've spent countless hours in the woods with these guys. I can't, they really... And I've got a few ones that I know by name. Some of them have got missing bits of ears and bits of tails missing, but otherwise they're very, very difficult to individualise. So, here we go. I call it red squirrel therapy. Now, some facts about red squirrels. They're our only native squirrel. They've been here since the Ice Age, not like the greys that probably we all know were brought over about the early 19th century. There's a 75% mortality rate for their first year, so only 25% of these guys will make it through their first winter. Okay, so supplementing their diet with some hazelnuts is alright by me. They're perfectly adapted for Scottish woodlands with dexterous hands and feet. They also have retracting ankles that will retract around 180 degrees so that they can run up and down the trees. They're very, very dexterous, obviously, for holding their nuts and stuff as well. I've got the bad guys there are the greys, and the good guys are the reds. And of course, we all know, or probably know, that the greys carry a pox, which is, they are actually immune to it, doesn't affect them, but it will affect the red squirrels and it will kill them. Also, it's known now that they're destructive to our woodland, they wreck the trees, they take the food earlier, so they'll take the nuts before they're ripe for the red squirrels, so they're removing the food and the habitats for the reds. If you remove the greys, the reds will move back in. So, yeah, we should all be standing up for red squirrels. If you see any squirrels when you're out and about, grey or red, you can report your sightings to sort of squirrels, and that helps to give them a map of where they are. Right now, they're trying to eradicate the greys from the central belt to stop them from moving any further north, but they're in Aberdeenshire, the greys, they're all over the show. So anyway, we know the benefits of going wild. Time for calm in the outdoors, it will invoke our primal connection to nature, you're always learning new things, and it's great for improving your mental and physical health, and it lowers your heart rate. Just getting away from the regular stress of life gives you a sense of calm and peace. Just going for a short walk in nature increases your creativity and your overall well-being. Why wouldn't you want to do that? And watching birds from just your window, so you don't have to go outside, can lower your heart rate, and it also reduces feelings of anxiety, depression and paranoia, and listening to birdsong has the same effect. So that there is a nuthatch with some oyster mushrooms there. That was in Blackford, that was captured. So, you're looking out your window, what are you likely to see in your garden? Weeds. Let's start with our common birds. Blackbird, very recognisable bird there, that's a female eating her rowan berries the way I eat my Maltesers. They're a member of the thrush family. Other members are missel thrush, song thrush, fieldfare and redwing. There's approximately 6 million breeding pairs of blackbirds in the UK, and they are, like I say, are most numerous and recognisable. The males in the spring and summer will go up high in the trees, and they've got one of our most popular songs. Everybody likes the song of the blackbird. They'll sing up high to establish territories and to find mates. Another garden bird, you might be lucky to have the greater spotted woodpecker coming to your feeder. These birds are very attractive, quite large for your garden bird. They will hammer into the trees. This one's actually, there's a bit of soot in the tree there that it's been hammering away. And they have a specially designed shock absorbing skull so that when they hammer into the wood there, they don't get very damaged. The males and females are distinguishable. I don't know, you might have seen the males, they have the red part on their head there. There's the male showing off his sexy back there. So yeah, the males begin to drum around February, so it's a nice early sound to listen for when you're looking for spring. Other colourful common birds is the garden blue tit, again one of our favourite, most recognised birds. Regularly visit your garden feeders, loves peanuts and suet balls. They're found all over the UK except in the Orkney and Shetland Isles. Okay? In winter, the tits will form flocks with other tits, like this one, the long-tailed tit. I call this the little lollipop of birds. They've got a very round body and a lollipop-like tail, and they'll move in gangs called a volary. And they'll come along, you hear them beep, 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 high in the trees, and they'll strip the trees of what insects are like. Especially at this time of year, you'll see them around just now. And then another tit in the family that you see in your garden, again they come to your feeder, it's the cold tit. They prefer coniferous wood, but they will come to your garden if you've got the right food, and there it is again, posing nicely with that oyster mushroom. So another garden favourite, the nation's favourite apparently, the robin redbreast. Very popular and numerous birds, males and females, quite difficult to distinguish. Sometimes the male will have more of a red breast, but otherwise very difficult to tell the difference. Males and females sing, and they sing right through the winter. So again, hard to tell, they're cementing territories. Most robins will remain where they were hatched, but did you know that robins migrate? So some robins at this time of year will cross the North Sea from mainland Europe and Scandinavia to winter here, whilst our robins, some of them will head to mainland Europe for a warmer winter. It tends to be the females that will migrate. Of course, they need the better feeding grounds for strength to be able to produce eggs and young. So the robin that you see in your garden now may not be the same robin that you have in the summer or the spring. They are also the gardener's friend. A lot of you will be very green-fingered. You come out with your hoe and your spade. These guys will be there ready to hoover up the worms. More gardener's friends here, the common toads. Very romantic picture there. Despite their warty appearance, these amphibians are a wonderful sight in any pond or garden. They will hoover up your slugs and snails and any other annoying plant eaters. They hibernate through the winter under log piles, decking, and even your flower pots. They migrate back to their breeding grounds around Valentine's Day in February. And there's about 200 tonnes a year sloshed on our roads. So there is organisations called Toad Patrol, things like that. They will go out with buckets to these roads where the toads are crossing. They'll pop them in buckets and take them to their breeding ground. Another gardener's friend, our most unmistakable gardener's friend, our only UK spiny mammal. Once widespread and often seen, now a rarity and hardly seen, endangered and in severe decline. Nocturnal and hibernates from around now, tend to be feeding, fattening up now, ready for hibernation. And again, they love leaf piles, log piles, and even under your decking or shed. And again, they're a natural insecticide for your garden, hoovering up all the nasty plant eaters. And again, road accidents and grass cutting accidents cause a lot of injuries and deaths in these poor little guys. Also the loss of habitat there. There's one out in the night time. Hedgehogs need your help If you see one in your garden, stick a little dish of water out. It might be thirsty, especially, you know, we've not had a lot of rain, the ground gets cake hard, they like worms, they like slugs, it has to be wet for them, okay? So, how can we help them? Making space for nature, all very common sense things. Go completely natural. Do not have plastic grass. Do not have artificial flowers. Don't even get me started on that. Dig a wee pond. Even a small little tub dug into your garden with some ponds will attract bees and other pollinators. Create corridors in your garden. Corridors of wildflowers, weeds, to allow wildlife to flourish. Make a hole in your fencing to allow wildlife to move between you and your neighbour. If you don't have a bird box, add a bird box or an insect hotel. Keep your garden messy and love your weeds. I cannot state this enough. Our Georgian gardens, our capability ground is out. It's time to let your wild stuff grow. And if you don't have a garden, I like myself, I live in a one-bedroom flat with a communal garden. Have a small box tub with bird's foot trefoil or lavender or something native and wild that will attract them in. Our natural world is depleting, as we all know, at a faster and more devastating rate than ever before. And if we all just did one thing or one other thing from that list, we know that small changes can have a huge effect on your own local wildlife population and on your own well-being and your own life. So, local birds of prey. Recognisable buzzard there with some tatty fingers there on the right. These birds were brought to near extinction in the early 20th century and now our most numerous bird of prey. You see these guys everywhere from mountain to seaside. Called the Scottish tourist eagle by tourists and Scottish people alike, often mistaken for an eagle. They have a high-pitched mew-mew call, which is often used in movies and things for an eagle call. Often seen on telegraph poles and posts next to the road. There's one encased in the oak there, that was on the Johnny Mathis walk just in Ochterarder. Our next bird of prey, again very recognisable one there, the red kite with the forked tail there. That was a Craig Rossi. Now Agarty, which isn't far as the crow flies, we'll all know that they did a reintroduction programme and the red kites have been extremely successful. At this time of year, they will roost in a large roost called a communal roost in numbers up to 30 or 40 birds. The next one is one of our small birds of prey, but again, noticeable. We saw one on the drive here at Perry Farm, just to see them on the way. One of our smaller species of kestrel, often seen hovering for voles at the side of the road there. They also do a thing called a wind hover at the coast, where they will use the thermal and use their tail and wings as a buffer and hardly move their heads. Specialists in vole and mice hunting. Next, we have a much larger bird of prey here, one of our local ospreys. Now, they are a rare summer visitor to Scotland, but Perthshire boasts quite a lot of these breeding pairs in the summer. They're pescatarian only, eat fish. Catching it with supreme accuracy, you can just about see those talons there. We would like to be a wee fishy on the end of them. They migrate to Africa, as we probably all know, in the autumn. The female will leave first, then the chicks, and then the male will leave. I was lucky enough this year to get the osprey family. So we have the two young, she actually had three fledged young this year, but that's just two young ones there, and that's the adult bird flying in. The young ones, as you can see, pretty much the same size as their mother. They're ready to go. The minute they fledge the nest, they're pretty much the same size, ready. They've got a long journey to Africa. And they'll slowly sort of move down through England, stopping for rest and fishing on their way. They're one of my favourite birds and something that I really do enjoy photographing. Another one of my favourite birds is the short-eared owl. Again, we have these locally. They hunt during the day, so if you see an owl hunting during the day, this is probably the owl that you've seen. They quarter the grasses and the moorlands. This one was just up the Lang side, not too far away. They're seen more frequently at this time of year in the winter months, as everything on, like all the birds are on the move. These birds are magnificent. A few were tagged 2 years ago by BTO and one bred early on in Scotland in the early summer, and then it went to Denmark, and then it had a second clutch of young in Denmark. Absolutely wonderful. The nomadic owl, I absolutely love them. They do. I don't have favourites. I think they're like my children, but I would say the short-eared owl definitely has a special place in my heart. So it's not about the gear, but the idea. You want to try and get out everything that I have in my rucksack: sturdy boots, waterproofs, a chair, my equipment, bird food, spare batteries. And yes, my back gets sore. Yes, it gets tiring. But the one time that I don't take my camera with me, what do you think happens? I've got to be ready for anything, anytime, anywhere, even Tay Street in Perth. So, a wee walk along Tay Street in Perth. Right at the viewing platform, there was one of the cows were there for a while, the oval platform. My mum and I stopped there for a look one day, and we saw an adult otter with 3 young. And it was about 10:30 in the morning, and they were fishing for eels on the tidal water there. Got another image there just of the 2 young together. And that was just taken on the viewpoint, just looking down at the water. Another magnificent local, skitty but often seen, is the roe deer. One of our only 2 native species of deer in the UK, the red deer and the roe. The others are all introduced species. The males or the bucks will grow short velvet antlers, which they shed every year, and the females have that white rump, that quite rabbit tail that you often see bounding away from you. The moment after the shutter clicked there, it was gone, and you see she's left a nice wee surprise there. Another beautiful, stunning local that I love to photograph is the brown hare. Again, overlooked species, protected now, most frequently seen in the fields at this time of year because obviously the harvest has just gone, dusk and dawn. The UK is actually home to 3 subspecies of hare, the brown hare, and they live predominantly above the ground. They dig a small sort of divot like a form, and they will have their leverets in the form, and the leverets are above ground from day one, and they're not like rabbits, they don't go underground. And in early spring, they begin to box for mates, and it tends to be the females that do most of the boxing. We have another Perthshire local here, the mountain hare. Native to the UK, unlike the brown hare that was introduced by the Romans, only been here a couple of thousand years. They live high up on the mountains and plateaus. This one wasn't too far away, this was Loch Turret. Obviously I had to go up the hill, but it was there. And of course they changed their coat to blend in with the surroundings in the winter. In the spring they're extremely noticeable with that white fur against the brown heather there. Very shy, but like I say, once you spot one, it's easy to keep an eye on it. Another wonderful local that I've only ever seen once, and that's the weasel. Now this photograph was taken at the side road. You can just see the reflection of the weasel in the puddle there. When you go to camera competitions and camera clubs, these are the images they want to see, reflection. But I mean, the fact that the thing was in focus, they're so quick and so nippy and so small. I mean, you've probably seen stoats, they're small, weasel half the size of a stoat. Very small, very fast, and our smallest carnivorous mammal in the UK. And our next one, also found in Perthshire, is the common lizard. You might even have these guys in your garden if you have messy log piles. What more reason do you need to have a messy log pile? The colour variations on these guys is amazing. This is it sitting in the normal basking pose. Obviously reptiles need to warm in the sun before they can, cold-blooded, before they can move on. So they'll sit and bask, warm up, and then move into the undergrowth to hunt. But they're easily disturbed, so if you walk past it, they'll go, but they'll often come back and bask on the same spot. So if you just sit there for 5 minutes, you'll often see it crawling back up. Yeah, and let's say the colour variations, that one's quite green, but they come in browns and yellows and reds, they're stunning. Again, reptiles are something overlooked that could be in your garden right now. So just a wee bit of the boring stuff, ethics and the things that I do not ever do. I do not give exact locations. I might tell you roughly where I've seen something, I will not tell you where I've spotted. Most of the animals in this talk and in this country are persecuted, in severe decline, and need all the help they can get. So me telling people where an endangered animal is just bad. I never use a flash, quite self-explanatory, you don't want to disturb anything. I would never bait an animal with food that it would not forage for naturally. So the squirrels, peanuts are not good for squirrels, they're bad for their bones. A wee handful's alright, but eating them all the time isn't so good. In the summer, if it's quite warm, I'll put maybe a plum or an apple out for the squirrels just so they get something different. But I know if they were to forage around the countryside, they would find plums and apples naturally in people's gardens. I never purposely flush a bird or an animal or conduct myself in a way. I try to blend in with my surroundings, moving slowly and giving the animal the respect it deserves. I might not get the shot today, I'll come back tomorrow. It's about the welfare of the animal is paramount. And never disturb nesting birds, always keep a distance. If you think you're too close, you probably are. So just a little bit further afield now, to the Isle of May. Has anybody ever been to the Isle of May? No? Well, as the crow flies from my house in Auchterarder, it's only 42 miles. And there's over 200,000 birds in the summer that breed there, with around 12 different species. And I've just got a small collection of the ones. I've been lucky to be there twice this year, and I've got a wee collection of some of the birds found there. The prettiest gull we get in Scotland, the kittiwake. This gull has got class and elegance and won't steal your chips. You don't see this guy at the seaside stealing your stuff. These guys, beautiful red eye and black feet and legs, absolutely stunning. A more recognisable bird here with sight and sound, we get them around here nesting in the animal farms and on rooftops and such, is the oyster catcher. Again, stunning red eye, which the red in the pigment in the eye helps them to see underwater. And they use that recognisable bill to prod and chisel the food from the shoreline. Funnily enough, not oysters. They do not eat oysters. Another attractive bird found on the Isle of May are razorbills. A small, kind of dumpy seabird from the auk family, and they breed in large colonies with other birds on the cliffside, like guillemots, and they will nest really, really tight and together with a tiny little nest space. This one here has a white eye band there. It's a bridled guillemot. Now, that's a feature that you tend to see more further north. We have a pair of shags pair bonding. So birds are, they like to stick to the same partner if they can. They spend their lives out at sea, and then when it's time to come back and breed, they'll get back together. Now these guys are much rarer than their look-alike, the cormorant, which you'll see on waterways around here. They are much slimmer, and they have just see the crest on their head there. Now, when I was there in May, you can see a female there tending. She had 3 eggs in her nest, and then when I went back in July, she's managed to hatch all 3 baby dinosaurs, furry dinosaur, just a week or 2 away from fledging there. Now the Isle of May has many stories to tell. We have the Arctic tern. This is the animal with the longest migration in the world. It circumnavigates the globe to see 2 summers a year. Now, we couldn't get on board with that, They have just been added to the red list of highest concern in the UK. Their numbers are falling. But on the Isle of May, we have pairs mating and bringing on the next generation. Here we have the adult feeding a sand eel to one of the young ones. Now, everybody's favourite seabird, the puffin, of course. Clowns of the sea. I don't really like that name because it kind of belittles them. I can see why it gets the name. Again, I love their feet and their nails. They look like they've got black nail varnish on. The Isle of May boasts around 52,000 breeding burrows. These birds will breed in the burrows, and they will fly out and get sand eels, and they will come back and feed it to their one single chick. So if their chick doesn't make it, they don't try again, they just head out back and they only spend 3 months at land at breeding, and the rest of the time they spend out at sea. So when you're having your Christmas dinner, these guys are probably away up near Iceland somewhere. They're very difficult to photograph in the air. Oh yeah, there's one with a sand eel salad heading back to its burrow there. But very difficult to get in the air due to their size. They're much smaller than you think, pretty small and very agile in the air. So that brings us on to the littler things. That's a small copper butterfly there that was captured in Kinross. Moving on, we have the beautiful damsel. Absolutely, you have a pond in your garden, you'll get these guys coming. Absolutely stunning, metallic-like damselfly, and when it's in flight, it has wings like a butterfly. It's absolutely stunning. This one was captured in Hull. Damselfly you're more likely to see around here is the common blue, and they will nest or roost in the grasses when it's windy, showing up their bodies lovely and vividly against the green. It makes them really easy to spot. We have some more flying stuff here, that's a bit larger now, the four-spotted chaser. Again, you could have a pond, you could have these guys come into your garden. They have favourite perches that they will sit on, and any insect or anything, other dragonfly comes too close, they will chase it off with ferocity. They're very, very territorial. This one here, the common darter, found around lochs, ponds, even at the side of the verge. This one was over at Blackford. I love its cheeky little face. Just taking a wee, it's a very restless species and difficult to photograph, but just managed to get it there as it was having a rest on the broom. Now, butterflies in peril. I don't know if you've noticed this year the lack of butterflies in your garden. It's been all over the news in your living local magazine. This year, butterflies have been absent from our parks and gardens, but since 1970, 80% we've lost. So that's 2 out of 10 are left. It's crucial times. They are a crucial part of our wild spaces. They are an indicator species, which means they are sensitive to small changes in the environment. So by studying butterflies, we can tell a lot about an environment and changes there and the health of that environment. They also play a fundamental role in the pollination of your plants and vegetables. When they go, we're doomed. So, some familiar ones you may have seen. Red Admiral, absolutely stunning. The combination of the red, black and white, so eye-catching and a welcome visitor to any garden. The Meadow Brown, not as striking as the Red Admiral, but still as beautiful in its own right. An abundant species that you will see when you're out on verges and grass, absolutely everywhere, these guys. They normally top the butterfly with watch time. And we have the comma here, the jigsaw piece of butterfly, so-called comma, as you can see just there. It's like somebody's flipped a bit of Tipex. There's a little comma mark there on it, and that's where it gets its name from. These guys were just about extinct, but now they are seen throughout the UK, not in huge numbers. That one was at Canoe Hill, so not too far away. And probably our most recognisable one, and the one you definitely get coming to your garden, is the peacock. Those unmistakable eye patterns which they use to deter predators and to make themselves look bigger. And they lay their eggs predominantly on nettles. That's the only plant they will lay their eggs on. Giant nettles and little nettles. So what better reason do you need to leave a nettly patch in your garden? It will help to pollinate your other plants, and what a beautiful sight to see when you're sitting having your lunch stage. Yeah, I'm saying nothing. Okay, and we have the common blue. Now, like a lot of animals in this talk, they have a common title, which is common, a common word, and it's so misleading because most of these animals are in severe decline and they are not commonly seen at all. This one was Blackford, so not too far. We have some really, really rare butterflies in Scotland. This one here is the Pennell Bordered Fritillary. Now, that was up near Appin, up on the west coast there. Not to be mistaken for the small Pennell Bordered Fritillary, there is two. This one is extremely rare, it only survives in small pockets on the west coast. Like this one, the the Marsh Fritillary, absolutely stunning stained glass window effect there. They are extremely rare and found again in the west. This was Mull. There's been reintroductions of this butterfly down south, down in Wales, to try and get its population up. And another extremely rare, smaller one, almost moth-like there, is as I always say, the skipper chipper. The checkered skipper. And it became extinct in England. And again, there was about 40 colonies survived in the Highlands, and they're reintroducing it back down south. This one was on Ardnamurchan, so quite far west. Now, all of the butterflies there were all captured on wild plants or weeds. Some butterflies will, like buddleia, you'll get them on your red admiral and things on the buddleia. But these specialist species like specialist plants, and some butterflies like the peacock will only eat and produce on the one plant, which makes very important to keep these plants in, keep them going. Right, so when there's no butterflies a-fluttering and there is no birds in the trees, what do? Look for animal footprints in the mud. I pick up discarded feathers, owl pellets. I've got a strange, Mark and I have a finds shelf with all these things that we find when we're out. I look for chewed pine cones, which is a sign that your squirrels have been there. Scat, sprain or poo, find out what animals are around. Chewed bark around the barns, and tracks in and out of water. Which leads us nicely to our next controversial subject. Beavers. Now, beavers are a keystone species, which means they define an entire ecosystem. They're important for restoring native woodland, improving habitats, and are helpful for a huge range of other species. Here's looking right down the lens of the camera. Their teeth have iron built into their enamel. You can see the orangeness of their teeth there. That's not bad dental hygiene, that is the iron in their enamel. That allows them to chop down the tree bark, and they're architects of their surroundings. Much is made of the destruction that beavers make, but they reduce flooding, slow the flow of water, reduce soil erosion, and improve water quality. And here we have a little baby beaver down on the water, having a little munch of the alder. Definitely knew it was there, but just went on about his business.
How far away are you?
Probably, it's just over the other side of the barn, so probably from here to the door maybe. So again, just across the other side of the barn. I'm not very good with distances, but whatever that is. Eurasian beavers. Scotland's keystone species makes a welcome return. On a small river tributary in rural Perthshire, a family of beavers have returned and made their home here. A UK native species once hunted to extinction for their furs and oils. Pockets of beaver families are springing up all over the country now after successful licensed reintroduction programmes. If you are fortunate enough, you may stumble across one on Scotland's waters around dusk or dawn, surveying their aquatic territory and gathering food. These natural engineers adapt their habitat, creating a more biodiverse ecosystem and preventing flooding and drought. This family live very close to me, and most evenings I tuck myself away on the riverbank, hoping for a glimpse of one. Sometimes I think they can smell me. They go about their business, in this case, collecting butterbur from the opposite bank and returning it to the lodge.
I love spending time observing these amazing natural architects. Let's hope they never vanish from Scotland again.
Okay, so if you would like a go at capturing local wildlife, start small. Use your camera phone. Look at the bees in your flowers, or your birds at your window. Get to know your subject. So if you want to get a little bit more serious, do some research. Research. Place a trail camera in your garden. Now you can pick up a trail camera for about 50 quid, and it's good to put out just to see who's hanging around at night. It's probably next door neighbour's cat, but hopefully it'll be a hedgehog. Be patient. Take a chair, a seat, and a cup of tea, and immerse yourself in nature, because even for 5 minutes, great things can happen. Now, locally, or recently, up to now, I have photographed 149 species of birds. Most of them are locally. We're just going to have a little quiz just to see if you can identify any, okay? Now, all of these three I found locally, and they're all very, I think, recognisable birds. So there's bird number 1. Dipper, well done. Our only aquatic songbird in the UK. As you can see, this one's got a mouthful of grubs. It's heading back to the nest for young. They nest under bridges, under waterfalls, like they make a lovely sort of ball shape that will come in and out there. Wonderful. And again, get their name because they're constantly dipping. Another thing that maybe gets its name from what it does. Bird number 2. Any ideas? Any farmers in? These are the farmers. We see these on the farm. Yellow lamb, well done. They have a distinct call. A lot of people say it sounds like a little bit of bread with no cheese. I don't like cheese, so I like them because they're like me. So number 3, again, another one named as it does. Any ideas? It's quite small. No, it's a stone chat. Stone chat. Again, their call sounds like chip chat. They get their name from the call. Sounds like 2 stones bashing together. That one was just up at near Fowler's Wester there. Okay, and there's just the answers in case you thought it was cheating. And that is it. Thank you. If you have any questions, I will try my best to answer them. I have some useful websites there, and also any images that you see are available to order for print. I actually have some prints here that are available to buy tonight if anybody wants to have a look. And that's it.